Hi, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're going to be taking our family off in our Model 3 for a long weekend in Norfolk with some friends. Let's go. So in our last road trip from York to Henley, we were able to test out the long-range battery to see if there were any charging challenges. Spoiler alert, there weren't any. And so in this video I thought I'd focus on my 3 P's of Tesla road trips. Packing, planning, and probably the longest granny charge extension you've ever seen. I'll show you how we packed our car for our long weekend trip away, and also some of the tools and apps that I used for planning out our journey from route mapping to charging. So in terms of planning apps, there's a few that I really recommend using, and some of these apply to all EVs, not just Teslas. I've linked them all in the description below. So first up we have a better route planner. Now of course you can use the car's own sat-nav to plan your journey and estimate your arrival state of charge, but it's not always 100% reliable, and it will always base the estimate on the car's current state of charge. And that's fine if you're in the car about to set off, but not if you're in planning mode. So as we can see, our car's currently at 55%, and I'm going to charge it up overnight, so we're going to be leaving tomorrow with 100% state of charge. So what I like about this app is that you can plan your route, and before you get into it, you can set both your departure time and your planned departure state of charge. So we can also add in things like waypoints and amenities on the way right in the app. So as we can see here, if we wanted to schedule a stopping point at a restaurant with charging options, maybe after 2 hours, the app will work all of that out, and you can even decide what kind of food you might want to eat. Pretty cool. And as we can see, it's worked out that the trip is going to take us just under 3 hours, and that's without stopping. So we can also see nice and clearly on the app where all the nearby superchargers are, and also how fast they are on the route. Okay, next up we have ZapMap, and this is great for researching ahead to see whereabouts your nearest charging points might be when you arrive at your destination. And as we can see, if we zoom out, there's certainly plenty of choice around where we're going to be staying. The chargers on the map are colour-coded, so this will give you a sense of a number of things: how fast they are, ideally you're wanting blue or pink, and whether any of them are already charging, if they're out of service, and also if they're public chargers or their home or work unit. So a little known fact about ZapMap is that if you have a home charger, you can advertise this directly on the app and let people contact you to come and charge your car. It's common to pay the owner a fee for this, and it's a pretty cool feature. So we're going to be staying here near Little Walsingham, and my initial plan is to leave the car on a granny or a 3-pin charger overnight, but it's good to know that there are lots of chargers nearby, so if we head up to the coast, for example, we know what our options for speed and possible payment might be. Now, what I found is that users of this app are usually pretty generous, so you can see there's up-to-date information on whether a charger is working or not, whether they've had a successful charge, or whether they've had a bad experience. Now, I'm not going to go into this next app in any depth, but PlugShare is another alternative which pretty much does the same thing as ZapMap, but it sometimes gives you some different alternatives in terms of charging points. It's worth having a look on here just in case you're not sure about the place that you're visiting and you might want some other options. And then we're almost there, we have Kilowatts. Now, this app allows you to put in your car model, the type of charger you're using, and then your current versus your desired state of charge. And then it'll give you a timer of how long it will take to charge. So this is useful if you're using a public charger, for example, that's going to charge you an overstay fee if you stay beyond a certain limit. And finally, we have Tessie. Now, I've done a whole comprehensive overview of this app, which I think is an absolute must-have if you're a Tesla owner, or even with a slight lean towards general nerdiness. Rather than a forward planning app, Tessie allows you to look back and see the full analytics from a journey, including things like charging efficiency, battery status, and the cost versus a fuel-powered car. I love it. Okay, that's enough app geekiness. Let's get packed up and ready for our journey. So this was a bit of an interesting journey for us because we needed to take our travel cot away with us for the first time, and I wasn't 100% sure where it would fit. So I packed my Tesla, and in it I put my charging cables and a massive extension lead so I had the ability to charge at a holiday cottage, our toddler's balance bike, plus a load of blankets for picnics and the beach, our pram for our baby, FYI this is an Oyster Zero pram, 2 big carry bags for our clothes, one I put in the back seat and one in the front, a bag full of toys and games for the kids, there's a bag full of kitchen and food stuff, travel potty, there's a rucksack with our baby changing gear, there's a bag of beach stuff like buckets, spades and toys, and our travel cot, which slotted very neatly down in the footwell. So it really is amazing how much you can fit inside this car. I've been wondering if we're ever going to need to get a roof rack fitted, but for a family of 4, for a long weekend away, this was plenty of room, and we still had a bit more space if we'd needed it. So we've planned, we've packed, let's head off. arrived here at our destination having stopped once for lunch at a farm shop with a healthy 40% charge remaining. Now the car parking spaces were a little bit further from the holiday cottage than I'd hoped, but thankfully I'd brought this massive extension lead which I ran all the way through the garden and in through one of the windows of the house. So just onto granny charging. Now obviously it's super slow and no one really wants to do this if they can absolutely help it, but it's a really good idea to have a backup like this ready just in case. And as it turns out, it's all we needed for this trip. And after 2 nights of granny charging, we had all the energy we needed to power our travel around Norfolk for our trip and also all of our way home. So let's take a look at some of the places we visited around this gorgeous part of the UK. So it's time to head home again, and thank you Granny Charge, we have almost a full charge here. Even with traffic, there shouldn't be any need for us to stop and charge on the way home. Now the initial estimate is telling us we should arrive home with a 43% charge remaining. Let's see how that plays out. So we're about halfway home now, and as we can see, the estimate has dropped a little bit from 43 to 35%. Now we are running the aircon a fair bit and also carting quite a bit of extra weight around on this trip, so perhaps not entirely unexpected. And here we are on our way back into York. We're scheduled to get home with 32% in the end, so around 10% less than initially estimated. This is worth remembering when you're planning your trip, that any kind of estimate around charge is just that, an estimate, and you shouldn't count on that initial estimate being entirely accurate. It also assumes you're going to drive relatively timidly, so any big acceleration boosts are gonna hit the battery levels pretty hard. Now my top tip is to keep checking on the trip consumption graph, as it'll dynamically track your actual usage against the initial estimate for you to see. So folks, that's another road trip done, and for those of you who are about to take delivery of your Tesla vehicles, I hope that's given you a bit of inspiration and maybe some ideas for your own upcoming road trips. As always, if you have any questions at all, just let me know down there in the comments. And if you're interested in seeing any more about our Tesla ownership experience so far, just hang around and you'll see a playlist pop up in just a second. And hey, if you enjoyed this, be kind, let me know with the like button, and if you'd like to see more like this, maybe even a cheeky subscribe. I'll see you next time.